Welcome to the Next Level of You podcast. I am your host. I'm not a horse today. I am a host, Danielle Rocco. And thank goodness you're with Danielle and not a horse. I have this beautiful Fabiana. She is, okay, I only took a slim pickings of who this woman is. So she's the author of Fabulously Fighting and naturopathic practitioner, which you've got to fill me in on that because I got to know what the heck is that, because it sounds awesome. And I think I might need it.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Talk about getting you going with all this craziness over here in Rocco land. Oh my God.
So I've been fighting metastatic breast cancer for 13 years.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. First, bomb that went off in my life, pretty much. I was 27. I had a 1-year-old daughter at the time. Me and my husband were kind of just really starting our life. And then all of a sudden it was this diagnosis bomb that went off in our life, and your life goes kaboom and everything around you starts falling. And you're like, okay, let me grab this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece.
Juggling all.
Exactly. So then, I decided, so I had a mastectomy at the time. I had a partial mastectomy. I fought to have a full, but they decided for me at the time. Oh. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yes. They decided for me at the time that a partial would be just fine because I was 27. And at the time they didn't have, it wasn't a push to have the BRCA testing done. And then after the fact, we had the BRCA testing done and they were like, oh, by the way.
By the way, we should have listened to you in the beginning.
By the way, yeah, we should have taken your advice in the beginning. Yes, exactly. So what should have been like a 4-hour surgery turned into like a 10-hour surgery, and then months of chemo to follow. And then finally, when they realized that I carried the BRCA gene and I had the marker for triple negative breast cancer, they were like, yeah, your kidney has already been compromised because I already had an autoimmune disease, lupus, which had compromise my kidney as well. And they're like, we can't put you through any surgeries. Bomb number 2.
I'm sitting here like, okay, what the hell do you do?
Yeah. So at that point, it was really weird how things kind of transpired in my life. And I totally believe in the universe and what the universe gives us. And all of these, God puts you in a place for a specific reason and a specific purpose. And as I started to learn more about my body and learn more about what I should be doing for myself, I went on a completely raw food diet, which people were like, you're nuts. And I wasn't nuts. It actually completely helped my body, and it completely helped to go through the chemotherapy that I was going through at the time. And I'll put a little disclaimer. I've been through over 150 rounds of chemotherapy at this point in my life.
Wow. You know what the hell you're talking about. Anybody out there questioning? No. Don't give me any book crap.
I know. Yeah, I know. So I started the path of wellness and really figuring out and trying to put different modalities and different pieces together, because chemotherapy isn't enough. And a lot of doctors tell you to go off all of your meds, to go off all of, vitamins and nutrients that your body needs. And I completely ignored it. And I, at all my research, and I was like, no, my body needs to refuel itself. My body needs to refuel those cells.
Yeah.
And I kept going in, and they kept going, okay, we can give you another round of chemotherapy. And I'm like, isn't that funny? Isn't that weird?
Little sucker there that popped up.
Yeah, right. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, you're staying so healthy. And I'm like, well, I'm on an all raw food diet. I went completely vegan. I am, taking vitamins. I'm going for vitamin C injections. I'm like, so I was doing everything that they were pretty much telling me not to do.
Yeah.
And their faces were like, But yet everybody's like, oh, this is fantastic. The chemo's working. No. Doctors will always go back to the allopathic way of, of curing something or try to cure something. So I'm living in a metastatic state. I have been for 13 years. We continue.
So what does that mean?
So a metastatic state
in that world.
Yeah. So a metastatic state, it started in my breast. It is now continuing my breast, but it also is in my kidney and it's on my brain. I have a small tumor in my stomach, which makes things a little more difficult for me at times. But I've also educated myself, and I've educated myself for the past 13 years. 14 years at this point. So, heading into year 42 and, I'm still alive after they've told me, well, we'll give you another couple years. We'll give you, they kept putting expiration dates on my life. And I kept going, why? Because I could go outside and be hit by a bus. It's not the cancer that's going to kill me. It's going to be the dang bus.
Yeah. Well, okay. And that's got to be a little bit like if I were to wake up every day or every month or every week and someone was like, you have a week to live, Danielle. I give you 2 years and you're going to be out of here.
Right.
I mean, I live every day being thankful that I have survived, and those things, but to be told that by people of, medical standard that are supposed to know these things emotionally, like how the hell did you deal with that? Because there's so much, that's a big thing, not just with cancer, but people with chronic pain and all of these things. They're how did you get through that? Like, what was your mindset around that?
So, I still wrap my head around it every day, but I live in a different mindset than I did back then. I live in a place of gratitude now. Every day that I wake up is gratefulness before my feet actually hit the floor. It's thank you. Thank you for another day. Thank you. You know what I mean? But it took me so long to get there. And all these doctors at the very beginning were like, oh, you should go to, you should go into, group therapy and this and that. And as much as I love talking to people and as much as I every day talk to people and listen to their stories and stuff like that, at that point in my life, I was like, if I have to hear somebody tell me that they have cancer as well and how crappy it is, I'm going to blow my dang brains out. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I can't.
I'll put that expiration on myself.
Right? Like, I couldn't, at that point in my life, I couldn't do it. I started listening to The Secret. I started, reading books on gratitude and manifestation. And I started pouring my days into learning more. And, I always tell people, knowledge is power. I went to college. I got just an associate. I don't want to say just an associate's degree, but I got an associate's degree. And I was a nail technician for a long time. And this wasn't my path, but my path changed. So education to me became a huge sticking point. And the more I learned, the more I met people that had all this knowledge. And I was like, okay, I just wanted to stand next to them. Like, give me all of your knowledge.
Yeah. And I just want to make, and tell me if I'm wrong, but this point that when you say education, it's not necessarily what we think is education. Like when you were talking about The Secret and this gratitude, like to me, that's education. There's a whole side that we're not taught traditionally.
Correct.
So are you talking about something like that?
So I'm talking about both, because actually on Thursday I take my board exam to become a naturopathic doctor.
Love
So it's taken me 13 years to get here, but again, I'm talking about both because I've educated myself in the way that you're talking about with The Secret and books and life.
So your body is yours, not, it's an individual, it's the universe and God, and all of those things have a huge impact on if you're happy and healthy or not.
Oh, absolutely. Mindset, and it's so funny. I talk about this all the time, and I've talked about it in my book. The moment that things changed for me was right after my diagnosis. I was sitting in the oncology waiting room. This was my first appointment. So it was Dave and I, and, that's my husband. And we were just sitting there, and of course, like the thoughts and everything that you have going through your head, but then you're looking at a room full of people that are going through the same thing. So it made me cry even more. And I'm sitting there crying for no apparent reason because people are just, kind of looking at me like, okay, girlfriend, little cray cray.
Yeah.
And this woman leaned over in my ear and was like, my darling, 99% of this is going to be your mental fight. Leaned back, never said another word. Boom. I was like, all right. Okay. Thank you, stranger. Because that
was, you were a little angel right there.
Correct. Yes. And I feel like people are brought into your life to teach you something. Mm-hmm. And whether or not they stay in your life, it doesn't matter. They were there to teach you something. Right. So I've carried that with me, and I've given that advice to, I believe, everybody I've ever run into, whether or not they were going through cancer.
And I'm going to take that and now spread that along too.
Exactly. Yes. Spread it along. So I've kind of taken that piece of advice, and mentally for myself, I wrapped myself in it every day. 99% of this is my mental fight. 99% of this is my mental fight. How am I going to get through today? Which is why I ended up writing the book I did, because at the beginning of this, any book that I picked up was all these books on telling you how horrible cancer was going to be, how horrible chemotherapy and radiation and crappy, like books that I was like, where the hell is it that it's telling me where to put one foot in front of the other? And that, so the book was based around how to put one foot in front of the other. And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be cancer. All of us go through adversities. We talked about at the very beginning. There is not one single person in this world that can say they've never been through anything. Like, and if you haven't, God bless you, because holy crap. Yeah.
You're either, I take that back, they're probably delusional, and it's going to pop up 10 years from now. It's called a breakdown.
Yes, and it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. Like,
deal with it now. It's so much easier.
Exactly. But you know what? I'm bringing it back to the question, like, how did I do it? That's how I did it. Because I knew that 99% of this was going to be my mental fight. So I had no other choice. So I never went into group therapy. Me and my husband, we see a therapist together, but that didn't even start until I think about 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So up until that point, I mean, yeah, I had some really dark days. I had some really dark weeks. I had really dark months, and it really does come down to this mental piece of it. And I think people forget that. I think people forget that what goes on in your mind is playing out in your life.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking negatively and you're like, this sucks and this sucks and this sucks, well, guess what? That's what's coming back to you.
You just manifested the crap out of suckiness.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So that's kind of how things have, transpired and gone. And, the book and the website and my wellness business and everything has come out of the fact that I had cancer and how to deal with it. So instead of burying my head in the sand, I was like, okay, how can I help others on this journey? Because that little piece of advice that this woman gave me, 14 years ago, has stayed with me. And I'm like, okay, well, then let's pay it forward. Let's show others that it can be done, because there's so many people in this world that are living in abundance and are living in a place of gratitude, but it's not stuff that we share when we're actually having a conversation with each other.
No.
It's stuff we share when we're talking on podcasts.
Yes. Yes. That's why podcasts exist.
Exactly.
So we can do that. So what is your, gosh, I have so many questions. So where do you see you're going to get this doctorate? You're coming soon now to the end, right?
Yeah. And
you have this wellness. So what is your vision for it? Like, where do you see yourself going?
So, I mean, I speak nationally. I've spoken at oncology conventions. I've spoken at, cancer events, and Honestly, the whole point of me getting my doctorate was, number one, more education for myself, to help along my health. But I've been mentoring other people to help them within their health. I've created a line of essential oils combined with CBD, and I'm helping patients, between, MS, breast cancer, anxiety, sleep, all of this, all of these different ailments that we don't necessarily talk about every day, or, things that, my dad had bursitis in his shoulder, and he's been suffering with it for years. And I created an essential oil, and he's no longer suffering.
That's crazy.
So, I have a bunch of clients that, I've been doing this for, and creating meal plans. And so the vision really it's how I can be of service to other people, because I want to get this message across. I want to get this message that you don't have to live in a state of, whether it be lack, whether it be lack of abundance, whether it be just the mental clarity that you need in your life. So the vision really is just to help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In any way I can.
Yeah. And I love that you're using, oils have been around for
forever,
centuries and centuries and centuries. We didn't always have
traditional
medicine, and there's a time and a place, right?
Yes.
We need our medical community with all of that knowledge, but that's not the die all, word.
No, it's not. The multiple modalities that I've been using this entire time, between essential oils, between chemotherapy, at one point I was able to go off chemotherapy for a little while, that I was able to keep things at bay. And then, things again reared their ugly head. And again, when you're at a different place in your life, and not a lot of people that actually realize when you're either stressed or your hormone levels are off and things like that, that affects your entire body.
Yeah.
So it also affects cancer cells. So at a place where I was ridiculously stressed in my life was the time that the cancer ramped up again. And
I was just going to ask you that.
There's a correlation there, and people don't get it. People are like, I'm just stressed all the time. Okay, well, we got to do something about that, because it's going to come out in other ways in your body. So I want to be that voice that, people realize that there's other modalities of healing, not just chemotherapy. And I'm talking about allopathic and naturopathic. You can use those modalities. I have a Soki bed, which is infrared technology. It looks like a tanning bed, but it's not. It's infrared technology that heats up your cells to like 130 degrees. And there is a machine that your feet go on, and it actually moves your spine in order to aerate your blood.
Oh, that's cool as anything.
But it's not here in the States. It's in Japan. We had to order it from Japan. But I learned about it from a chiropractor that is using multiple modalities to heal his patients. Mm-hmm. So it's these different things that we learn from each other. And I say the problem with the medical world right now is, obviously big pharma and and everything else that goes along with that. But that's another story for another day.
Well, that's humanity. The problem, that's just like, that's a piece of humanity.
Yeah.
That is all money based. That is a good intention gone bad.
Truth bomb. But I think if we could work together, then there would be more people like me out there. There would be more people that are surviving past their 2-year, 3-year, or whatever they're telling you that you have left to live, and I've completely done this for the past 14 years. And now I want to help others do the same, because there is other ways. This isn't a black and white thing, and doctors usually think in black and white. Well, it's either this or that. And there's so much gray area there, and there's so many other things to do.
I'm all up in this, and my brain just went I'm like, okay, pull it together here, because you're in charge, Danielle. You gotta be. But no, there's so much, and I love how you had cancer, and you're That sounds awful.
No, it doesn't. We're okay. We're good.
Because I don't wish on anybody, but man, if that didn't happen to you,
Correct.
you particularly with your personality and where you were, you would not be here and giving such a gift to so many different people and opening the eyes up to so many other people and the mindset and hope. You know, like there are certain people, like you said, that you run into life and God puts in your life, and there are no mistakes in it.
No.
There are no mistakes there are no mistakes that you were given cancer, and you totally, it sounds like you changed the projection of your life and the life of, I mean, I'm sure I can't even count how many people that you've changed.
Yeah, well, I can hope that that's happened. I mean, and yes, I mean, I'm going to toot my horn a little. I mean, I get messages daily from people that, you know, have either heard my story, I've even spoken to, or have read my book or this or that. And, you know, they're like, you're a game changer. You're a game changer within the cancer community, and not just within the cancer community, within, you know, the medical community. Because so many things, you know, I have friends that have MS. I have friends that are completely anxiety, just they can't get out of bed, you know? And so I don't think I'm here just for the cancer community.
No, you're here for anyone that is struggling in some sense, which is basically everybody. Because we all are having something that is going on. But for you to take something that people put so much negativity and pain and sorrow, and they can't get out, and they're the victim. It's a victim disease, I feel like. Well, you know, just as chronic pain is. But you've taken yourself out of becoming the victim. You're not the victim. You're a sense of educating people. You're a sense of giving. You're a sense of gratitude. You're a sense of hope. You're a sense of all of these positive things, because it's no longer, to me, what I'm listening to, it's no longer about you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. This education piece has been, you know, has been crucial, and I am talking about both pieces of it. But once you realize that, you know, you no longer play the victim, because I mean, for the first year I played the victim. I completely played the victim. I was like, I'm pulling the cancer card.
I am not doing the dishes.
Pretty much for everything. Laundry. No, cancer card. Sorry. But once you take, you know, it's so funny because somebody mentioned ego to me. And once you start taking your ego out of things, you see things a lot differently. Yeah. And at first, my ego kicked into high gear, and I was like, what the?
Did you just say that to me?
What? But it's so true. Once we take our ego out of it, we actually see it clearer. And if people, you know, people don't listen to actually listen. They listen to actually talk next. Yeah. And
what did I say? Oh, now I know what I'm going to say to you. About me.
Exactly. So once we take the ego out of it, we actually start to listen to others. And that's what I really had to wrap my head around, is that all these educators and all these people that have been there and paved the way before me, I can use it as a gift to others and take that ego part out of it.
Right. Yeah. It's so huge. Step 2 of the 4 for like nothing to do with health, but mental health of the book of, you know, keeping the military families together and supporting them, because that is step 2 is your ego. Is understanding how it prevents you from manifesting a better you.
Yes.
No matter what it is. So I'm talking about marriage and a relationship within yourself. Yeah. You're talking about health. I mean, our ego shows up in so many aspects that we don't even know. I say every day, one of my jobs is to kill my ego, because it will come up in some other form, because I'm growing.
Of course it does. Yes. We're always growing, and we're always, and I call it the self-check. Yeah. You know, you kind of got to sit there for a second. You're like, is this out of my ego, or is it out of
where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly. And we're all human. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes freaking 50 million times a day. But it's, it's really how we look at it and how we deal with it.
Yeah. Yes, that is what is going to project you forward. That's what projected you forward to where you are right now, is how you handled every single decision, every single mess up, every single success, every single verbiage that was, spoken to you.
Yeah.
All of that, because we screw up all the time, but you can make amends.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is that we're programmed so early to not make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. You're going to get the red pin.
Impossible. We are programmed to fail.
Yes, we are. We are completely programmed to fail because we're not programmed at an early age to go, oh, you fell down, you scraped your knee, get back up. Yeah, get back up. But why are you making such a big deal that I fell down? And why are you like, oh, she fell down again?
Stupid toddler.
My kid is so clumsy. So we're constantly programmed. Yes, you are 100% correct. We are set up to fail.
Such a great way to end the conversation.
I know, right?
On a better note than that. But no, because I am sure, because I have so many more questions for you. I want to learn more. I want to follow you. I want to know what you're doing. How can people go? What is the best way for them to reach out to you, ask you questions, or just listen to what you have going on?
Yeah, so you can go on fabulouslyfighting.com. Every other day something goes up, whether it be a recipe, whether it be food for thought, whether it be an article. It's always centered around, what goes on in my life, the things that I see, the things that I do. So you can always go to fabulouslyfighting.com, or I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
See, you're hanging out with me too.
I am. And it's at Fab Fighting on all 3 channels.
Oh, I love that. Fab Fighting. Because you're fabulous. Well,
and it's so funny that you say that, because the reason people are like, why did you call your blog and Fabulously Fighting? And I was like, well, it wasn't my idea. Somebody called, she happened to be talking with me, and all of a sudden she was like, oh my God, you are just like fabulous. She was like, you're just fabulously fighting. And for a minute I was like, I don't know if fabulous and fighting and go in the same, but it's, you know what? It really does, and yeah, so that really became the brand.
Yeah. You know what? It's badass with glitter. I've been checking out your nail polish. And your nails, like every time they go flying across the screen, I'm like, damn.
My nails are pretty cool.
They are pretty cool. Oh, I love it. So you have a new a follower, what is that? Fabulously Fighting, like, chick. I'm in. I'm
part of the tribe.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
That is it. I am so blessed that we connected and you are here.
Yeah, thank
sharing
you.
What you're doing, and I'm going to share the crap out of it because you're doing some major things in this world, and we need people that are taking their story and change and making a change. No more. We don't need to hide in the closet and be ashamed anymore.
No, we're outing everybody.
Yes. The new age. Out everybody. I love that. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time out and sharing with us. And I will see you on the other side.
Thanks.